here we go. This is the episode number 8, and it's what happens on my stage and how can I edit the script. And a couple things as we start. It's going to be very helpful. We're going to be at several places during this hour when you're going to want to be writing things down or drawing. So it'd be really useful to have something right nearby where you can write very quickly. And if you could keep your microphones on mute, well, we're going to have a time at the end, since we're on Zoom, where we can do a little bit of interacting, which I, of course, really appreciate. So I'm going to go for 30 minutes, 35 minutes, depending on, whatever. And then we'll have like some chance to interact with your thoughts and your questions. Okay. So let's do, and also in the chat box, actually Maja, my executive assistant, is going to be looking at the chat box, and I've asked her to keep her eye peeled for certain things. So if you have comments or feedback or anything, put it in the chat box. And there's going to be a couple places here where I'm going to invite you to write in the chat box. And so she's going to be, telling me about that, because I can't walk and chew gum at the same time. I have to just do one thing. So here we go. This is the book called Facing the Tiger that just came out. It's out in 2 versions, I want you to know. The Kindle version, which is on Amazon, and then there's an interactive edition, which we're going to dive into here. And so, of course, we'd love for you, if you want to reinforce this, we'd love for you to get this for yourself and all your friends and family members, okay? And it's based on, of course, my stuff, the 5 questions. And these are the 5 questions. What confronts me? This is where the tiger came from. Like if you're in the jungle and a tiger came up on you, what's the human instinct to do? Is to run. If you run, you're dead. So you might as well turn and face the tiger. That's the metaphor. It's a very, very important concept that whatever we don't face runs us. Anything we're avoiding is actually, we're adding power to something that we're avoiding. So don't think you're getting away from something by not facing it. You're actually making it bigger. So you might as well take a shot at, turning and facing the tiger. Now he may eat you, but that's what we're suggesting here. Question 2, what am I bringing to this tiger? What hopes and fears do I have as I turn toward this threat or situation? Oh, the tiger might be a difficult decision, a difficult person, asking a major question. And am I in the right job? Is it time to stay? Is it time to go? All these kind of things. Or it could be, I've got this webinar that I've got to set up for. I've got this meeting or this phone call. So it's anything that comes at you that makes you pay attention. What's been running me? How have I on automatic without realizing it? What calls me from inside myself and what calls me from outside? Need in the world. And finally, what will unleash me? What will put me into action? And today we're going to dig deeply, just like in the last session, on what's been running me. And last time we took a look at, do we have a life script? And I hope if you were on the last webinar, you realize, yep, probably do. If you're born, you get one of these, okay? And if you have one, well, what is your script? Because if we're on stage every day, we wake up and we kind of step onto the stage of our life. If there is a script, and if we have a role to play, by this time in our lives, we're really pretty good at that role. But how automatic is it? And how much free choice and flexibility do we really have? And this is why the tiger is so important, because the tiger is an indicator that our default isn't sufficient, that we need to stretch, or we need what I call a pattern interrupt, that we can't deal with the tiger with what we normally do. So that's why the tiger is so important. And then finally, this session, do I want to do some editing of my script? If I have one, maybe I want to tinker with the script a little bit. So here we go. The script came from this fabulous teacher named Ram Dass, just died a year or so ago. And he had this fabulous thing. I heard it, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago, and it just touched me when I heard it. He said that when we're born, we're automatically enrolled in somebody training. that all the people around us are trying to help us grow up to be somebody. And not just any kind of somebody, but the kind of somebody that shares their survival skills, their DNA, not just the biological DNA, but the culture and so on. And so I came up with this idea of a somebody training map. And so if you were not on the last call, we're not going to take time to do this, but if you could get started on a piece of paper, just put yourself in the middle of the piece of paper. And then around you, put the people that were significant to you. This is my grandfather, my grandmother, Sister Ruth, Annabelle, my pop, and then put a circle around all of that and write down the place you were born and the date you were born. And ask yourself, how significant is it about when and where I was born? Like I was born in the South in 1940. So segregation, Black people and my neighbors were called colored people, and that was a big advance. We couldn't go to school together. There's lots of things that happened at that time. If 1 year before 1939, the tanks rolled into Poland. So, and that affected your first 5 or 6 years. This all happened in your first 5 or 6 years. And so out of that, this little Johnny or little Asha or little Maja or little Steve, whoever it is, little Günther, little Lars, started figuring things out. And the question is, what was a familiar feeling that little guy or that little gal had? I remember feeling very loved, but lonely, because my mom and pop were off in another city. I was raised by my grandparents and so on. And this the question, what did you figure out about what you should always do and never do? See, you might want to take a screenshot when I get through with this page, and then you can kind of fiddle with it afterward. And who did you grow up wanting to be like? Like usually somebody around you is somebody that you go, I want to be like that person. For me, it was my grandfather. And who do you not want to be like? And for me, it was my pop, bless his heart. He was an alcoholic, beautiful, gifted man. Couldn't get it together. But I didn't want to be like Pop. Took me a long time to realize it. He was not the problem. He was a symptom carrier for the Scherer family. And then what difference did it make when and where you spent your early years? And so what was the strategy that this little gal, this little guy figured out? And as you'll see mine as we go forward, and I'll invite you to do the same. So you might want to take a screenshot of this. Of course, you're going to get the slides, by the way, since you registered. As soon as we convert the slide, we're going to send it to your email address, send the link. So you'll have these, but if you want this, you can take a screenshot. Now, this is my life script. This was what I figured out. This was my strategy that little boy figured out, Johnny Scherer. Be a good boy. Be a good man. You are loved when you are creating things. I remember making things out of cardboard and drawing, and I was kind of a creative kid. And every time people were always going somewhere, but every time they went by, they would say, "Oh, Johnny," and I think I figured out that when I'm creative, people give me drive-by loving. I get drive-by loving when I'm being creative. I also figured out that I need to add value and earn the right to be in the room. I think I mentioned the letters that I found from that my cousin sent me that my mom had written when I was 18 months old, 1 year old, so 2 years old, to me and to my grandfather. And in one of the letters, she said to me, I'm 2 years old for Pete's sake, maybe one day I can repay your grandma and grandpa for taking care of you. And I mean, this little kid, that had to be in the noise, in the music, that somehow or other I'm creating an obligation. My presence in Richmond when my parents were in Washington, D.C., the fact that I was still in Richmond, which I had nothing to do with, it somehow created a debt that my mom was going to have to pay. Can you imagine that? I mean, and of course she loved me and was trying her best. And when she got her cancer in Spokane and was at our house, we had such great conversations about all that time. I also learned I needed to put out, I needed to deliver, I needed to contribute, not be a user. sing for your supper, be a contribution. And then as a Boy Scout, leave every campsite better than you found it. So in every conversation, I have this instinct to leave that person a little better than to contribute to all these things, right? This didn't stop when I was 6 years old. This is what I want you to understand. The stuff you figured out, the stuff that little guy, that little gal figured out, that strategy, just consider the possibility that it's still alive in there. And I haven't met anybody in all these years, and I've done this on, I don't know, people from 55 countries have done the leadership development intensive that this is based on, and I've never had anybody that could not see the footprints and the vibrations of what they did when they were 5, 6, 7 years old. They could still see it operating in their life. So let me know if you're somebody that can't see it at all, because you'll be one of the first. Okay, so this is my life script. So as I'm going through here, I hope you're thinking about yours. All right. So you, as the main character on your stage, you wake up in the morning, you boot up, this operating system comes on, and your character emerges. Well, who is this character, right? I'd like you now on a piece of paper, if you would, to write down about 5 or 10 words. Imagine that you're writing a script. Here we go. You've been asked to write a series, like a TV series, let's say, like 1 hour dramas like MacGyver or whatever, all the TV shows that are on now. And you've been asked to write a script with a main character, which is going to be you. And the script is going to revolve around that main character. Okay. And I'll walk you through it. Start by writing down 5 or 10 words that you would hope are going to be true about that main character. Like, what are they really good at? What are his or her charisms or gifts? Or another way to think of it is, how do you hope that other people on stage, what do you hope they see in that character? Okay, so these are good things. Strengths, capabilities, characteristics, things that make this character special, right? That he or she is really good at. They're like charisms, gifts, right? And then once you've got that list, I'm going to give you a couple of minutes, see if you can find a character, an iconic character from history, literature, movies, TV, whatever. Not somebody in your family or somebody that you know. That'll make it much, much harder. Who has at least some of these qualities, okay? So a lot of very powerful, positive words that you are hoping that this character has. Maybe even you hope that you have, but that's the advanced class. And then see if you can find a character. All right, I'm just gonna, let me see what I have here. Yeah, there we go. Let's take a minute here. I'm gonna be still while you do some writing. See if you can think of find some iconic character and use them as a kind of an icon. When you click on it, you get some of these qualities. All right. All right. So let's keep going here. All right. So let me use myself as an example here and then check in to see what you guys are doing. So this is some stuff about my main character. Like when I boot up in the morning and I step on the stage and I step back. Oh, the invitation is, imagine that you're that you're not on stage, but right now you're up in the, or out in the audience, observing yourself on stage. Okay, this is a very significant capability. One of our experts in our field, Chris Argyris, thinking about your thinking, like watching yourself watching, like in yoga, which I've done virtually every day for, I don't know, 50 years. There's this thing called the witness, engage the witness. So you're watching yourself doing yoga. So when you get into a tight place, you just notice, you watch yourself feeling the tension. It's a fabulous skill. So we can start practicing right now. So you're watching yourself be this main character. So when I step back and look at myself, these are the special charisms or gifts that I want that character to have. You could even say that I'm trying to manifest, and how I wish people would see me and gossip about me. So those are ways you can get at those words. So one is wise and a teacher. So wisdom, wise slash teacher. A warrior spirit. I mean, a spiritual warrior. There's this combination of wanting to make a difference, but make a difference in a way that nurtures the human spirit, that the difference is made at the level of the human spirit. So I work out 3 times a week with a trainer. We do high intensity interval training. I do it 3 times a week. And so he's helping me at the level of my physical body, right? And of course, it helps in a lot of other ways too. And I think I have this warrior energy in me too, of wanting to make the world a better place, kind of fighting, but fighting like more like Aikido, or, insightful, intuitive. I'd like to be seen as somebody that was insightful and intuitive. Now, this is a hard exercise, especially for people from this part of the world, people in not just this part of the world, but especially in this part of the world, and also Norway. What is that joke? How do you tell if you're talking to a Norwegian? They look at how to tell if a Norwegian is an extrovert. They look at your shoes when they're talking to you, is what I heard. Anyway, Lars, you can get after me later for that one. But brag about you. Don't be afraid to put some good stuff down here. Then I'd also like to be seen and hope that I would have a kind of a magnetic energy, like drawing people to something, to a way of, to a body of work, drawing people to a certain kind of way of being in the world, and also having some kind of energy in that regard. And then deep caring. So I'm creating this character to put on the stage. Okay, I'm out in the audience now, and this is the guy that I hope gets up every day and walks out on the stage. Okay, so what are some of the words for your main character? So you might want to adjust now that you've seen what some of mine are. Just go for it. Really go for it. And then who is this character? Okay, so this is my character. You ready? So, when I first came to Poland 12 years ago, my character, in the workshop we call him your persona character, was Jesus, transformational presence, caring and so on. But this is a really strong, church going culture, and people thought I was like trying to be God or something. I thought, okay, this is way too complicated. So I switched it to MacGyver. So I was MacGyver for a long time. So think about who these characters might be for you. So MacGyver worked. He helps everybody solve problems and everything. And about a year ago at one of our intensives, the group came to me one night and said, we've had a meeting and we've decided that you don't have the right persona character. Your main character is wrong. And I said, why? And they said, well, MacGyver, he's clever and resourceful and all that, solves problems, but he doesn't have wisdom. And we see you as having a certain amount of wisdom. Well, I'm happy to see that. I'm not so aware of it, actually. And they said, we've got a new character for you. And I said, who is it? And they said, Yoda. And I kind of went like this. And they said, what? And I said, well, I love this guy. I love him. And they said, well, what's the problem? And I said, well, he's 800 years old. He walks with a cane. He lives in a cave all by himself and waits for Jedi Knights to come in, And then I started thinking about him. And I realized, I'm living by myself in this house in Poland. I have these Jedi Knights that come in the door in the form of all these facilitators. So I want to take you now inside the book to work on this next piece for you. And I'm going to go into the interactive edition here. And this interactive edition, we think of it as the full immersion version. Like the Kindle book is great. It's a book and it invites you to do exercises on a piece of paper as you read it. But we wanted to create a book that was more like an experience. Like we say, more than a book, it's an experience, almost like a workshop that you could go through at your own pace. And so the interactive version has 15 links to 15 videos, 22 exercises like the one I'm going to show you in just a minute, and 2 audio tapes. And so, you can go through that. It's not exactly the same as participating in the workshop, but boy, I hope you check it out. And that's on our website. And the link is coming up here. So let me go first. I'm gonna stop the share, and I'm gonna grab this other piece here if I can find it. I had it right here, Dorota. Where is that? This is the part where I get embarrassed because I'm clunky. Okay, can you see it, or do I need to share again? Let me share the screen again. Hang on a second. Share the screen. Okay. All right. I hope you can see that. Okay. This is the cover of the actual book. This is the interactive book. And and here's an example right on the first page of a video. This is a hot link in the book to a video. This is one of myself and Dorota Navalanyets, my co-creator of the book, talking to you about the book and why we wrote it and stuff like that. So there's like 15 of these links where we talk about some of the material, and a table of contents. Wait, I don't want to take you through all that. Let me take you right to the page I'm looking for. Page 242. Yeah, here we are. Now this is where this is the whole thing on a single page. And it looks complicated, but actually it isn't. But on this side of the page, this is the automatic way of living that most of us grow up with, kind of unconscious. And this is a more conscious way of living over here on the right-hand side. And I don't want to go into the details now. We're going to focus down here in this bottom box down here, which I just think is really, really cool. Let me go back up here. That's why I have to work really slowly. Down here it says, in order to succeed at staying comfortable in my persona, I need to have on my stage, okay? So now to make it easier for me, I'm gonna go back to my PowerPoint slide, which it's a little bit easier for me to operate here. And let's see. There's Yoda. And here we go there. Okay, now we're back to that box from page 242 in the book, right? And instead of writing it, actually, when you're in the interactive book, you just take notes right in that field. So I'm just going to do it this way because I can do it. So in order to be comfortable, now imagine this is stage again. And every day I wake up into a drama. And by this time in our lives, the characters are somewhat predictable. We might change jobs, maybe move to another city, but we always seem to find certain kinds of people to have around us. I mean, I think you can maybe see that. Well, and if you were going to create a drama with Yoda, like a series of episodes with Yoda as the main character, what kind of other characters would you have to put around him so that he could stay in character, so that he could stay in role? Put those, if you can, put those in the chat box. I'm going to see if I can do these two things at the same time. If you could Oh, Obi-Wan. Oh, I love it. He would be plan B, wouldn't he? Uh, oh, Carl Jung. These are such great. Oh, these are fabulous. If you could answer my question, who would you put on a stage that would help Yoda stay in character so that he could continue to be Yoda, you know, and be the trainer of the Jedi Knights? So I can think of one right off the bat. I would need to have Jedi Knights looking for wisdom and guidance, wandering in the front door of the cave. Darth Vader, that's great. Some kind of an enemy or some kind of I said a galactic conflict to be in the middle of with all these evil characters that need to be kind of dealt with in a very unique way. Somebody who needs advice, absolutely, Ursula, you got it. Or wisdom or guidance. Yes, a world in trouble. Beautiful, Gunter, absolutely. What else? Yoda, what does he need to have around him? I'm thinking he also, situations that require extra special, access to the force, some kind of magical power that's somehow different than the normal power, different than political power or military power or intellectual power, but some kind of magical power. Obi-Wan, these are not the droids. I love that, the ability to strong people on the dark side. Fabulous. Here's another one. Upsets, conflicts, upsets that give Yoda a chance to calm the storm. He's this calming energy, and so if your role in life is to be a calming energy, you need to be in situations that aren't calm. Otherwise, you don't get to be the calming force. You see how this works? You want to be a helper? Great. Who do you have to have around you? Helpees. You want to be a strong leader? Great. Fabulous. Who do you need to have on your stage? People willing to follow you. See how that works? Okay. It's got another one here. A community of highly supportive Jedi masters. See, that really fits for me. I'm not doing this alone. There's this community of people that are Jedis themselves. And it's not just me, but we are a force. There are 45 of us right now from 11 countries in various degrees of, engagement and so forth. But we're all sort of doing this work out there in our little worlds, wherever we are. And that's a significant, very significant part of my life. And then I need a cave, apparently. And if you could see this lovely house that I'm in right now, it's in Falanica, just across the river, from Warsaw. Snow on the ground, fireplace, first time in years I have a fireplace, a garden. I mean, it's a beautiful place. And I'm sheltering in place for the last, 8 or 9 months with my oldest son, Jay. He's 52 years old and he's here visiting with me and staying with me now. And I'm just here. I'm in a cave. Okay, so this is what I need around me in order to stay in my character. So who do you need around you, you see? Who do you need around you? See, who does, if you could put some of your characters' names down, that would be great. Who are some of your main characters? Freud, fabulous, great. Okay, if you're a world-class psychological thinker, who do you need to have around you? People that need, healing, mental healing. Pema Chodron, oh, beautiful. So who does Pema need around her? People that need her spiritual guidance. See how this works? Almost always the people around you need something from that character that the character in some way enjoys providing. So it's a circle. And see, oh, JP2. Oh yeah, Mihal. I could have almost predicted that one, So what did John Paul II need? A church that needed transforming, reforming, So that says that inside of you there's this reforming impulse, this transformational impulse. Well, if you're going to be a transformer, what kind of people need to be on your stage? Well, boy, that gets clear. People that are willing and open and yearning maybe to be transformed. People that are not so sure. Maybe an institution that is ambivalent. So sounds really good. So this is an exercise that can help you understand why. Oh, Lindiana Jolie. Oh, Lynn. I guess it's the female counterpart of Indiana, right? Okay. Yeah, and Angelina. What a great name. That's just fabulous. Uh, your main character needs to have people around him or her who need something from that character in that role. And so in order for you to stay comfortable, you need to have these people on your stage. So unfortunately, one of the main features of your development is you're going to have to be uncomfortable. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because as long as you're comfortable, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with being comfortable. There's nothing wrong with your main character. In fact, it's got you to this place in your life. Look where you are. Country manager of a big multinational corporation, one of the top coaches in the world. And, look at the people on this call. Look where your main character has got you. Okay. There's nothing wrong with that main character. It's just when the main character isn't enough, when it isn't working, when the tiger's still there after all your main character's magic, it means there might be something else needed. So if we go forward now, ask you this. If you think about the script, the main character and the script, I just ask you, is the script working for you? And the chances are probably pretty good. Yeah, it's working pretty well. Okay. And next question is, when does it not work for you? And here's a great question. When does your script not work for the people around you? I mean, if I have to be Yoda all the time, if I have to be the wise teacher, what kind of space does that leave for other people to be wise teachers? You see what I'm saying? If you have to be the hero, like if you have to be Freud, and every time you walk in a room, you're the guy that sees the problems and fixes all of their, difficulties and despair. What happens if you get another Freud in the room? How does Freud get along with Jung? You see what I'm saying? I mean, there's all kinds of interesting things that happen here. And then what kind of people don't make it on your stage? What kind of people don't last on your stage? We instinctively try to force them into a role. And if they can't take on one of those roles, then they either pretend and stay for a while and then leave, or they wander off your stage, or you find a way to, get them off your stage. What are the downsides for others on your stage? And do you have a sense that something might be as good as it is for you right now? What do you like? Why are you on this webinar? Why did you turn into this webinar? Do you have even a teeny sense that there's something either missing or something more that you would like to be having access to? Let me pause here to put in a word. It's this last one that moved Dorota and myself to create a course. It's a 90-day deep dive online, with sessions, 6 or 8, I've forgotten how many, but sessions. And it's a deep dive into this more. I guess you'd call it a spiritual development experience. And so if you're interested, you have to go to the website. What we're needing here, personal development, changing the script means we need a pattern interrupt. We need to interrupt the pattern. Okay. And there's a couple ways to do that. One way is by what we call flipping something. So how would you flip this? If Yoda needs to have Jedis coming in the door looking for wisdom and guidance, if you were going to do the Gestalt trick and flip it, how would you flip it? How about this? Jedi Knights coming to share their wisdom and their guidance with Yoda. See, that's the flip, see? I'm just going to teach you the principle here. galactic conflict to be in the middle of. Well, what if what about every now and then not being in a war? What about laying on the beach? What about a galactic heaven every now and then? Just pleasure and joy and relaxation instead of having to fight and struggle and everything. Here's another one. Instead of situations that require magical powers flowing from special access to the force, geez, that just sounds just overwhelming. See, how would you flip that? Maybe just a chance to relax. Upsets that allow the calming of the storm. How about this? Being the storm. See, these are all things that would interrupt, that would flip, that would break the pattern. Every now and then, I think I do. Every now and then, I need to create a storm. I'm so programmed to calm the storm that if it's even the faintest possibility that something, a decision that I might make, there was one today while we were planning for this. And I was hesitant to say, you know what, I'm sorry, but I want it this way. Well, maybe every now and then that would be a really, really good thing to do. A community of other highly supportive Jedi masters. Maybe I need to be with people that are just really different, that aren't Jedi masters. Huh? Right? And a private space. Maybe I need to be in a public space. Okay. So this is a way of flipping. Janice, it looks important there, lady, but I'm going to keep going and then we'll come back right after this. We're almost at the end. So flipping is one way to edit, change your script, fiddle with the script, but another one is adding. So instead of just being a good boy all the time, what if I added the ability every now and then, the courage to be real regardless? What if this concept of you're loved only when you're creating, what if I was able to add to that, you're loved even when you do nothing, John? That one almost makes me cry when I just think about it. You need to earn the right to be in the room, sing for your supper, always be a contribution, John. Well, what if in addition to that, not instead of these, but what if in addition to that amazing ability that I have, what if I could add to that, saying, well, wait a minute, whose room is this? Or, John, be in the audience. You don't have to be on the stage. You don't have to be the one responsible for whatever happens on this stage. You could just be a member of the cast. My daughter Emma is in the dance ensemble. She's a dancer in France, in Paris. And, every now and then she gets a chance to understudy and have one of the speaking roles, but she's in this ensemble. She's in a group of dancers with, 15 or 20 people. And boy, what a fabulous thing it is to see her. If she weren't there, there'd be a hole on the stage. So there's something about just being in the ensemble, John. You don't have to be in center stage with a microphone in your hand, right? And just be a space for the contribution of everyone else. Allow people to contribute to you, John. Okay. So these are two ways of editing the script: flipping something that's familiar to you, or adding to something that's already there. All right. And when you watch this again, I think you'll get it. Okay. We're now into a chance to kind of talk with each other. So I think since we're in a regular Zoom, I'll go back to that later. I'll come back to that at the end. But I think since we're in a regular Zoom, I can stop the share, and maybe we can if you want to unmute or say something or ask a question, maybe we can do that. So Janice, I don't want to call you out there, lady, but if you want to say something or you want to interact about that, this looks like you're at a really, really difficult chapter in your life right now. So just wish you well with that. And this is a huge tiger, is how do you turn the page? And if you're not working with a coach or a spiritual advisor, I would say this to all of you. Any of us, I've had a coach, a spiritual coach for my whole life. And if you want to work with this stuff, if you want to change the script, I highly recommend working with a coach. And we've got some good ones on this call, actually. So what thoughts do you have, or does anybody want to unmute? And you can contribute.
There we go. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Who is this?
This is Janice.
Hi,
Hi.
Janice.
Hi. So I do have some of that support, but where I keep getting stuck is work to do next. And that's because I feel like I haven't really owned who I am now.
Yeah,
It just
yeah,
really briefly. So, husband was sick for 14 years. I was his caregiver,
yep.
huge
Whoa.
commitment. And
Yep.
so there's
It
so
was a
much of,
full-time job for you, I bet. Yeah.
yes. So now I'm feeling like to stay in the healthcare arena some way, but I'm not sure. I don't know. So I have these questions. Yeah.
Yeah, this is great. Um, if you could email me, or that would be great, because I have this video called "Quit Your Job, Find Your Work."
Okay.
That I think there's parts of that that might be really helpful uh, to to find where does your heart want you to go in this next
Right.
chapter, right?
Right.
When you turn the page, what needs to be in that next chapter?
Yeah. Yeah. So I was really drawn to your description of this, and
Send me an
thank you
email.
for. Yeah. Okay.
And good luck with this, by the way.
Yes. Yes.
If you can
I'm
make
adding it.
well, if you can make it to this course called Purpose, Power, and Peace, it sounds like all three of those would be really helpful. This first one I think is filled up, but we're going to start another one in like March or somewhere in there. So
Okay. So when I write you, I'll find out more about that. I didn't.
great.
I joined a little late. Okay. So thank you, everybody. Some of you have sent lovely messages to me too. That's really very
Thank you, Janet.
helpful.
Your
Yeah.
courage, just your courage in showing up like this tells me that you're going to be just fine.
Have the faith, right?
Right, exactly. Whoa, there's some really cool people on this thing, and I know some of you. So what do you want to say? What do you maybe just add something? You don't have to come with. I don't have to be Yoda right now. I'm here also for I'm in a pattern interrupt. So what do you want to say?
From Pauline.
Paulina, oh, your character's Yoda too. Fabulous. Well, he is a kind of an androgynous kind of guy.
Yeah.
He can go either way, I think. There we go. Okay. That interactive version, I'm really proud of that. That's an idea I had some time ago. And as we were, as Dorota and I were creating this book, it became, okay, let's do it. And because I have videos on all this stuff, because I've been doing, I mean, this book is about the 4-day intensive that I've been doing for 30, this is not theory. This is not theory. This is stuff people from men and women from 55 countries. I just realized this when we were writing some, bragging stuff about this material. This is not theory. 32 years ago, 1987 was the first version I did of this thing we're talking about right now, this, the 5-question program. And so people from 55 countries. So yeah. Okay, is it Jan or Jan? I don't know. Either way, I think your comment was you're loved even when you do nothing. How do you reinforce that for yourself? I have some. In fact, I woke up this morning, just to be real about it, in a kind of a funk. It's very unusual for me to be in a kind of a, I'm usually just like I'm on speed or something. I wake up like, okay, where's the, like the Mercats, okay, what's up, what's happening? But I didn't. I woke up really kind of bummed out, and I've got some dear friends, and I'm in a hard place with a couple of them, and feeling like partly my responsibility, of course, for how we got here, and I realized I needed to do something. So I worked out every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I have a workout. So at 7:30, I'm on with my trainer. He's on Zoom. And while I was working out, I just completely got into my body. I used my yoga training, and I just I don't know, stopped thinking, but I paid attention to what was the soreness in my body. What was happening in my body for 30 minutes. I was just in my body, and when I came out of it, and I'm tired, hot, sweaty and everything, I was in another place. So there are other ways because it's all in our heads. Okay, and that's one thing I learned many years ago. The world doesn't live out there. The world we're seeing is in here. It's not out there. So this story that I have to be doing something to be loved, it's just a theory. Perception is theorein in the Greek, theorein, which means to see. It's a way of seeing something. So we look out at the world and we don't realize what we're seeing is just a theory we're having. It might be that. It might be something else. And so, yeah, maybe I do have to, do and perform all the time to get loved. And it's a really healthy thing to say, really, John? I mean, what about somebody else? Would you give them love if they weren't performing? Yeah. Well, how about yourself? So I have over the years developed some things that I can say to myself and kind of wake myself out of this trance. Yeah. I hope that's helpful. I don't know. And also, I have to admit that I'm alone right now in my life and have been for about, 15 years. I don't know, Kath, if you're on here, God knows how long it's been. And every now and then I wish I had somebody that would just, I love you, you're special, so that I could hear it coming in from outside. But I don't have that. And so I have to find other ways. Actually, I know this sounds really weird, but being on this webinar with you is a way that I can express my love. That's the only reason I'm doing this, actually, is the joy and the circle, the circle of love that this creates. So I'm very lucky in that regard.
This is very insightful, John, about you, but also I like the flipping. Hello, Günther. I like the flipping part. As you know, and somebody else, I've just retired and I picked Obi-Wan Kenobi, who is in fact a retired Jedi, but he's still not as old as Master Yoda, which is befitting. And indeed, it is, going on retirement. It is, you have to flip because you're for a part, and I'm a bit ashamed to saying that to you, John, but now I understand your urge to go on and on. But anyway, you for a part, you step out of society. And it feels that way. People actually say that to me, and they're afraid of that. I'm not that afraid of it, but you're not part of the game to some extent, which means you have to flip your pattern and start to accept other things. So and that it was very helpful and entertaining as well. So thank you for that.
Well, Vim, right? Is this Vim?
Yes.
Anyway, okay. I don't want to out you, but I thought I recognized your voice. Yeah, and this whole thing about retiring, I think I told you that on my 75th birthday, when I was in Krakow, my friends got me in a circle and they said, "How long are you going to stay in Poland?" And I said, "As long as I'm needed." See, there's my somebody training. And then they said, "Why have you stayed so long?" And I looked around the room and I started to get emotional. And I realized, I said, I'm looking out here, I see friends and clients, colleagues. I said, "You've become my tribe. My tribe is here now. And I visit my country." I remember when that trip happened, when I realized when I was going back to America that I was visiting, I wasn't going home. And then I told this group, I have an announcement. Tonight I'm retiring. And they got really, really pissed off. And I said, no, you don't understand. I am retiring. I think you might have been in the room, Shemek, I can't remember. But I said, I'm retiring. And I said, I'm going to put new tires on the car so I can go for another 100,000 kilometers. So when I think about you, Bim, with all the wisdom and the experience and all that you have, okay, so the game that you were in and that you were good at, that game is not available anymore. It's like an athlete who, hasn't been re-signed by the team. Well, what's another game? See, make up your own, create your own game. My goodness, man. I mean, call me on the phone. I'll brainstorm with you. What is something that you really love and know something about that some people might just want to listen to you or be around you or explore that? Or what's a question that you have that's a really important question that other people have? There's a lot of ways to getting into what to do with your gifts, not because you have to, but because of the joy that would bring you, and that whole thing.
Indeed.
Thank you, by the way, for saying that. So, by the way, I got a reminder here from Edita. This 90-day program we're calling Purpose, Power, and Peace, which is essentially a spiritual development program. I'm hesitant to call it that because people, especially here in Poland, might think it has to do with the church or something. It turns out that Edita and a colleague have discovered that we can, if you're in Poland, I'm sorry, but only for people in Poland, there's 80% EU funds to support your tuition to any of the programs that we do. So that's really, really exciting. So anyway, put that in your computer. And actually, I think Edita's put a link out there. Yes, thank you. Great. Thank you, Master Yoda. Oh dear. Yeah, retire. Meow. Yeah, well, that thing about coming home, you all know that the book is based on this concept that you don't need to change yourself. I know that's what everybody's saying. You need to change yourself. You shouldn't be like you are. You should be like something else. Taller, shorter, thinner, smarter, better, whatever. You need to change yourself. And a long time ago, as a Gestalt therapist, I stumbled across this phrase: you don't need to change yourself. You need to come home to yourself. And this changes everything. And then people say, well, how the bleep do I come home to myself? Okay, now we're talking. Now we're on the path. Now we're on the right path. I don't want to help people change, but I would love holding people's hand and walking together on the way home. I'll walk home with you, but I don't want to try to fix you or change you or save you. That's why I didn't make it as a Lutheran pastor, because I just didn't have enough motivation to try to save people. I didn't think that's what we were here for. So
I think that includes countries.
I'm sorry?
I think that includes countries.
Yes, thank you, Levy. I think that's Levy, right? Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how to love my country right now, except to,
Well, it needs to go back home.
Oh, bless you. Absolutely. Well, actually, I heard an extraordinary young Black man on the news the other day, and I saved it. It was so powerful for me. And without any blame, that's what hit me. I mean, this is what a great teacher, a great therapist does. They do what they do without blame. There's no make wrong. There was no make wrong in him. And he was saying that America, from the first day, there were Black people in slaves, servants to the white people, virtually from the first few months of the migration from Europe. It's servants, Black people, and that this whole country was built in a large measure on the backs of those Black people, of those slaves. And now those people are saying, we're here too,
Mm-hmm.
we in a way, we built this friggin' country.
Yeah.
Yeah. We picked the cotton and you made the money, but it's just amazing how easy it has been up to now to have this white privilege thing going on. When you walk in a room, you don't even think about being white. Whereas if you're a woman, I know a lot of my women executive colleagues, when they go to conferences, they walk in a room. Do I have a sister here? Is there a sister here? And so I'm really hoping that that this thing that's happened, including this wake up call at the Capitol, and the fact that so many Black and brown and yellow skinned and Eastern Mediterranean, Arabic, that America can get back to being the melting pot that it was for so long, only with everybody, with all the boats being raised. And I think Biden has created a leadership team that looks like America, and it just touches me.
Yeah.
To see that.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to support it any way I can. And if anything takes me back to America from here, it would be, I don't want to go away from something. I need to be going towards something. And if something opened up like that, then I would be really torn. Go back and help my country. I want to say one more thing before I go. If I can. When I was 22 years old, I raised my hand and I took an oath. I swore that I would give my life to defend the Constitution, not a person, but the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and bear true allegiance to the same. And when I see that it was my commander in chief, the guy that when I was in the military, the guy that would have essentially been in my chain of command to tell me what to do, that he was the source and has been, of course, I could see it from outside, of disloyalty to the Constitution. It has been very, very difficult for me as a former military guy. And so when my heart goes out to everybody who's been serving.
Yes.
Well, listen, it's 30 seconds to go, and I don't know how we got onto this, but if I think webinars are supposed to sell things. I've told Aditya that I'm not particularly interested in that all the time, but just before we go, I think I will bring this up just for your edification here. Purpose, Power, and Peace, 90-day deep development experience with EU funding for people in Poland. Sorry, it's starting in February. If you contact us and you're interested, there'll be another flight starting at probably in March. And then the next webinar is in 2 weeks. And it's the next to the last in the series. And this one is on unleashing your power. What kind of power do you have? What kind of power do you wish you had? How do you use it? How do you misuse it potentially? Okay, everybody. Is there anything else for the good of the order, as we used to say, that like needs to be said? Otherwise, take care, everybody. See you in 2 weeks. Tell your friends about this. Tell your friends about this webinar. Come back. Great. Oh, Tomasz, Shemek, Pauline, great to see you guys. Levi, great to see you, Levi, mon ami. Yeah. Hey, Lynn Skotnitsky. What a bunch of Jedi Knights on this call. My goodness. Or nitresses. What is it? Anyway, love to you guys. Take care. I hate to hang up, but I'm going to. See you in 2 weeks.